Hi friends and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, hello. My name's George Agambar and I'm a UK music producer. Welcome back to my short series taking you through the very basics of recording and producing. The very basics. Even if you've never dived into the wonderful world of audio production before, by the end of this series you should feel confident in recording and producing your first ever song. So make sure you stay tuned and hit the subscribe button and notification bell to follow along. And things will never be the same when I hear your name since you kissed me in the rain. In the last video we had a look at recording instruments such as guitars, bass, piano and drums. Today we're going to be moving on to begin to set up our project and configure the settings to give us really good quality recordings so that we can get the best results. When you open up a Logic project for the first time, the first screen you'll see will give you a choice of different track types that you can import into the project. To start working on the project, you'll have to insert a track. We have 5 choices. Firstly is software instrument. This will allow you to choose an instrument sound from Logic's library. These are all electronically produced instruments. Then there is audio. This is for if you are recording a vocal or instrument through an interface. Next is drummer. Choosing this will mean that Logic inserts a pre-made drum beat that you can alter slightly, and you can choose the genre that the drum beat falls into in the drop-down menu. Then there is external MIDI. You choose this if you're using an external MIDI instrument. And finally, guitars or bass. You choose this if you're recording guitars or bass into the Logic project, and it will give you some nice editing choices and amp sounds for the 2 instruments. After I've inserted the first track, I go straight to setting the BPM of the project and making sure that I'm happy with the metronome settings. This makes the recording process a lot easier and helps ensure that you keep time throughout the whole process. You can change the details of the information you see in the top panel in the drop-down menu on the right-hand side. My favourite view is Beats and Projects, as I find this has the most useful information to me. Changing the BPM is fairly easy. You simply go to the BPM value and drag up or down accordingly. To turn the metronome on, you go to this button, and when it's purple, the metronome is on. To change the metronome settings, such as the sound and volume, you right-click on the button and select Metronome Settings. The button with 1, 2, 3, 4 next to the metronome decides the number of beats you hear before the track will begin to record. It's essentially a count-in. You can either click to turn this off, or right-click to alter the settings, such as the number of beats you hear before recording starts. After I'm happy with the BPM and metronome settings, I'm still focused on that Beats and Project information. I move on to setting the key and the time signature. Now, setting the key isn't completely essential, but it can be very helpful, especially if you plan on sharing your Logic project around between creatives. And this is because other people won't have to try and figure out what key your music's in, they'll be able to see clearly from that information. Setting the time signature is essential, especially if you plan on recording using the metronome. To change the key, you simply click where it says the key and a drop-down menu with all the keys appear that you can choose from. To change the time signature, you do the same, or you can create your own custom time signature. There are lots of different configurations, options and settings for our project. It can get confusing. So in this video, we're going to keep it really simple and basic and have a look at the 3 most important settings to make sure we get right. These are the buffer size, the file recording type and the sample rate we record at. So for each, we're going to have a look at where to find the setting and the most common setting for each. Starting with the buffer size, we find this in Preferences and then Audio. The buffer size is really important. If it's too high, it can cause latency whilst we're recording, and if it's too low, it can cause artifacts such as pops in our recording, neither of which we want. It's tricky as the optimum buffer size varies depending on the computer, so you have to find which works best for you. Normally, a buffer size of 64 works well for most. To find the recording file type, we stay in the same menu but move to the recording section, where we have the choice of 3 different file types: AIFF, WAV, or CAF. Each of these options are a lossless file type. AIFF is essentially Apple's version of a WAV file. CAF, however, is slightly different. Unlike the other 2 file types, it has no stereo file limit. However, it's a really uncommon file type, so I would really recommend just sticking with AIFF or WAV. Then we need to find the sample rate, which is in File and then Project Settings. Then we have a lot of different sample rates to choose from. Normally, 44.1 kHz is a really good sample rate. It's a sample rate that CDs use and will produce high quality recordings. For projects such as DVD audio or classical music, you may want to record with a slightly higher sample rate. But for the majority of the time, I would say that 44.1 kHz will be absolutely fine. So that's how to set up and configure your project. Over the next few videos, we're going to be having a look at how to input and create various elements to begin to build your song. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if you have any questions or thoughts down in the comments. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and notification bell, and I will see you again very soon.